with another one, man. Don't even forgot that lotion. Come on, man. You know we back with Comicstorian, man. Full story, man. Aliens versus the Avengers, man. Basically, aliens versus the Marvel Universe. Come on, man. Let's get into it. No time to waste. I'm excited for this shit, bro. I love the Alien franchise, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I like the Alien franchise more than I like the Predator franchise, bro. I don't know, even they comic books. I may, not that I may. I'm gonna eventually do the Alien comics too. A lot of people don't even know, but the Alien got comics, bro, and that shit get dark. That shit get tough. You feel me? So yeah, I'm gonna do the Alien comics too, bro. Let's get into it. Avengers versus Aliens.
And only the Avengers can stop them. Somewhere in the vastness of space, aboard a large space station, a Kree soldier slumps in his harness, blood leaking from his mouth, as the Shi'ar scientist looked on in disappointment. "I thought a Kree specimen would have shown more resilience," one of the scientists sighs as he looks from the body to the facehugger on the floor. Instead, the host failed post-implantation, they note through the observation glass. The two nod, knowing that for every failure, they take 2 steps forward in their experiments. 4 out of 5 attempts were a success. The real prize of this batch was the Skrull specimen. What a delightful surprise that was, one of them notes. The other nods and frowns. But the Skrulls have no homeworld to seed. Such is the curse of a diaspora race. Their species numbers fall outside of mission parameters, he notes. Suddenly, alarms begin to blare through the space station. The scientists look at the computers, which warns of 4 crafts on assault vectors. Wakandan design, one of them notes. It doesn't take long for the assault craft to board. The airlock hatch explodes inward, and the Hatu Siraze slip aboard the ship, clearing the way for their king. T'Challa steps through the smoking doors a moment later. His son is close at his heels. The head of the Hatu Siraze cautions the Black Panther to be careful, but T'Challa knows that they don't have time for caution. "We quarantined an entire sovereign Wakandan world because of the weapon we traced back to this place. Our people are dying, so we will risk whatever we must to put an end to this threat," T'Challa informs his soldiers. A scout warns them of approaching enemies. "There," he says, pointing into the gloom of the vast space station. "The creatures come from the shadows. Their animalistic hisses reach the warriors as they crawl forward at a rapid pace."
Alien versus Black Panthers. Black Panther clearing that shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Alien acid is not getting through vibranium, bro. It's not, bro. Can it? I know you physically. I'm not gonna say you can't break through it. There been times where vibranium has been broken. You feel me? Motherfuckers have broken Wolverine skeleton. Motherfuckers have broken Captain America shield. His armor has been cracked. So I mean, like on a cosmic level. If you're like a cosmic being or a being on the level of a cosmic entity, like them demons, like Mephisto, goddamn Sorak. If you're like on that level of power, Mephisto, it's a lot of demons, a lot of angels and shit, like Odin. If you're like a Skyfarer cosmic entity or a high level demon or devil, yeah, you can break adamantium physically or blast through it. I just don't know if there's another way to get through that shit, like acid. I don't know, because alien mythos, that acid can burn through anything, any and everything, but there's nothing that acid can't burn through. So I wonder if that's gonna translate over to the Marvelverse, where there's nothing in Marvel that acid can't burn through, or they gonna be like, or they gonna nerf it and say, yeah, it can burn through everything except vibranium, Uru, which is like Thor's hammer. and certain material, or he gonna be like, nah, bro, everything off the table, bro. It can burn through everything. I'm curious to see.
Azari, T'Challa says to his son. The young Black Panther steps forward and calls upon his power. Lightning arcs outward, striking at the advancing xenomorphs.
Oh, he's a son of Storm. Storm, yeah. So Storm and Black Panther used to date and shit, bro. They used to date. So I guess in this universe, Storm and T'Challa had a baby. That's tough. Then he got the fighting skills of Black Panther and the powers of Storm. That's tough.
Three of them leap into the air, but the lightning strikes them and rips them to shreds, and the smoking ruins of their bodies fall to the floor. Black Panther steps forward and pats his son on the shoulder. Well done, he says softly. He turns back to his soldiers. Find the masters of this place. Find them and bring them to me. I want them before me. I want them on their knees, he orders. In a short time, one of the Shi'ar scientists kneels before T'Challa, white liquid leaking from several wounds on his body. The Hatu Serazé warned that the scientist was trying to purge the computer data from the station. But we were able to capture some of the data, he says, warning of what the scientists were doing on the station. The same weapon that they used on the Intergalactic Empire. They've already launched at least a dozen more, they warn. T'Challa nods, beginning to issue commands that the worlds must be quarantined. But his warrior continues. Your Majesty, one of the worlds. It was Earth, he says softly. T'Challa.
Bro, look at his fucking eyes, bro. Look at his fucking eyes when he said, look at him how he looked before he got the news. When that motherfucker said one of the worlds of Earth, that boy eyes lit the fuck up. I've never seen Black Panther ever look as fucking shocked and scared and surprised in his life, bro. I have never. Oh, he know it's a wrap for Earth. Nah, bro.
T'Challa pauses in shock. He reaches up and taps a button, allowing his helmet to slide away. He looks down at the scientist. What kind of monster are you? T'Challa whispers. The scientist looks up at him. Oh, I am much more than that, for I have such plans, he whispers. T'Challa nods and reaches down, pulling the wig from the supposed alien. That's because you're not Shi'ar, are you?
Why you put a wig down? Why you put a wig on your head? Why? Like, why?
You're not living at all. You're just a machine. He ponders, staring down at the bald android. A Weyland-Yutani symbol stamped just behind its ear. The android looks up with a smile. Just a machine? If you prick me, do I not bleed? He asks. T'Challa's helmet slides back into place as his son hands him a sword. Let's see, T'Challa whispers as he swings the weapon, severing the android's head from its body. Meanwhile, the worlds targeted by the androids have already been attacked. Seed probes have launched 4 queen eggs at each, along with 12 infected hosts in suspended animation. The pods fall to the planet where they are discovered. The creatures spread like locusts.
Nigga said they sent 4 queens. 4 queen eggs. And they sent a dozen hosts already infected. Boy, let me tell you something about aliens, right? Let me tell you something about aliens, bro. Bro, aliens are a universal threat. Look at me, camera. Focus in, camera. Aliens are a universal fucking threat, bro. Bro, they can wipe out all life on Earth. You feel me? If you was to put aliens, right, the eggs, the queen and shit, on every planet of the universe, right, they will wipe out all life in the universe, bro. But they're universal because they can wipe out every all life on Earth. But they're not universal because they can't get to every planet in the universe. Feel me? Because aliens can't fly. They aren't really intelligent. They're not gonna board a ship and fly. They can't survive in space. in space. So very, very universal. They can wipe out all life on the planet. You feel me? In that sense of the term, but they would have to be on every planet of the universe. So what they're doing is they're dropping them on every planet, and they're not just dropping one queen and a couple facehuggers. They're dropping four. One queen can wipe out a planet. Four of them. That's overkill. That's overkill. That's not. It's not going to be a fight. It's not going to be a struggle. It's overkill. And I can't wait to see how Earth handle that shit, bro. Cause that's a lot. That's a lot, bro. You basically turned a planet into their home world. It's no longer your planet.
Within hours of bursting free of their hosts, the drones are fully grown and a hive is constructed within a day. Days later, the queen is born and begins to produce eggs. The spread cannot be stopped. Within a week, each queen has established a hive throughout the planet.
Oh, this Earth. Okay, there's India type shit. There's Tokyo. So they drop 4 on every part of the planet, bro. It's over with, bro. You not beating that, bro. You not beating that, bro. Bro, there's no way, cause how the aliens work is, right? They'll plant you, drag you to the nest, put face huggers in you, right? And they'll burst out of you. Bro, there's no way to tell who's affected or not, bro. Granted, the time it takes for them to burst out of your chest, it varies. And some comics and movies, it may take 12 hours. Some may take a day. Some may take minutes, bro. You feel me? So it varies. I don't know how long it takes them to burst here, but if that's like a day or so, or 12 hours, there's no way to tell who's affected, bro. There's no way you can, like, quarantine everybody, right? And your quarantine location, your refugee spot, your refuge spot don't get compromised and contaminated, bro. There's no way. You'll have to wipe out all living organisms, bro. But they got Tony Stark, Reed Richards and shit, bro. So they're smart enough. They should be smart enough to, like, detect, like, if they're infected. I mean, you can do it with X-ray vision. It's not like some shit that's like the size of bacteria, you feel me? If you can scan through their body, you can see the chest hugger inside of them. So they do X-ray vision. They can see. They can check.
Within a month, there is an endless army that spreads, attacking cities across the planet. It is the perfect mechanism for the extinction of a species, of every living thing on Earth, regardless of if they are baseline humans or something greater. The city of Adelan could have resisted, but conflict between the Inhumans caused cracks to appear within their great walls, and through that—
Oh, that were the Inhumans. Oh, that's the moon. I think that's the breathable side of the moon. But yeah, that's the Inhumans, like Black Bolt and shit.
The alien invaders poured inside and destroyed them. There was no record of the fall of Atlantis, but the creatures also overtook the underwater city. There was no king to protect them, and no calls for help. Wakanda held—
Bro, there was, not even if you were in the city of Atlantis, not even if you're in the bottom of the ocean, somewhere God knows where, they find life and they take it, bro. These are the perfect machines, bro. This is the perfect organism, bro. This is the perfect organism. The perfect killing machine, bro.
Out longer than most, but even they fell before the never-ending horde of xenomorphs. The mutants of Krakoa, seeing that the planet was lost, opened their portals and escaped to Mars, sealing the portals behind them so that none could follow. Only one stayed behind. As Krakoa burned around him, Apocalypse stood ready. He would always fight, as he always did. Only the fittest would survive.
That's the thing about Apocalypse, right? This is heaven to Apocalypse. This is heaven to the Apocalypse. Apocalypse. The thing about Apocalypse, right? His whole memo, his whole theme is, right, only the strongest survive. Only the fittest. Only the fittest and strongest are meant to live. You feel me? So him being on the earth that's overtaken by these creatures that's slaughtering everything, every and anything, right? He will never leave. Cause this is like the ultimate test for him, bro. This is his heaven. This is his heaven, bro. Can they kill Apocalypse? Fuck no. Can a whole planet of aliens kill Apocalypse? Fuck no, bro. But he has the mutant ability to give himself any ability that he want, bro. He has 100% control over his molecules and atoms, bro. He has 100% control over his molecules and atoms, bro. Telekinesis, super strength, energy projectiles. But let me explain to you why having control over your atoms and molecules, everything over your body can do for you. And Sensity, right? He can give himself any power that he wants, bro, by altering his own atoms and molecules. He can give himself teleportation. He can give himself Iceman powers. He can give himself anything that he wants or needs, bro. And he's immortal. I don't know the extent to his immortality. I know he's immortal. He has a layer of immortality. Like he doesn't age or die. You feel me? I don't know if it extends farther than that, but I know he's immortal. Can he be killed? I don't really know. I know you ain't being no fucking Apocalypse, bro. You're not being Apocalypse, bro. The first mutant to ever walk the earth, to ever exist. The God mutant? Yeah, bro, you're not, bro. This is his heaven. He killed other mutants, bro, because they're not strong. Like, bro, he started an Omega level mutant war, bro. So only the strong can live. Like, bro, the man's crazy.
And so, the Earth fell, until there was only one human city left. A stronghold in the ruins of America, built by the old man Wayland, as if he knew of the impending doom. In his wheelchair, Wayland looks out over his city, built to withstand the end of the world. Elsewhere in Wayland Tower, an elderly Bruce Banner looks out over the city as the sun sets behind the mountains in the distance. The door behind him opens and Carol Danvers steps out. You know, if you keep staring into the sun like that, Bruce.
Damn, they old as fuck. Like how long had how much time has went by? 40 years? Like 20 something years? 20 years? 20, 30 years went by probably? That's damn they old. So Earth been gone for like 20, 30 something years, bro. That's crazy.
You're going to go blind, she points out. Bruce shrugs and smiles. I have gamma-powered cataracts 0.5 millimeter thick. I'm already pretty much blind. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop looking, he tells her softly. He continues to stare out over the city, waiting. How late is she? Carol asks quietly. Bruce's head falls slightly, exhaustion overtaking his body. Not too late, but she's always so precise. Plans things down to the second. She should be back by now, he tells her. Bruce tells Carol that Valeria went out into the city, still trying to find a way to save the planet.
If y'all don't know who Valeria is, bro, that's the daughter of Reed Richard and Susan Storm. Arguably, I want to say arguably because she's meant to be smarter than Reed Richard, with Dr. Doom and everybody, but there's just no feats to back it up, bro. She hasn't done anything yet to put her on that pedestal. She's on that level of intelligence, believe me, she's on that level. She just hasn't done anything to solidify she's the smartest person in the universe or the smartest person on Earth without it being like Marvel's propaganda. You feel me? She hasn't done anything yet. Will she do something and eventually in the future? Yes, she will. I 100% believe she's going to prove that she's actually the smartest. So far, it's just a title they're just giving her.
See, this is the last human city on Earth, but we're weeks, maybe less, from falling. This isn't a city, Carol. It's a tomb, Bruce says softly. But Carol shakes her head. She looks out, reminding Bruce that she was always taught to hold her power in, to check herself. But when the monsters finally break through, when the city falls, I'm going to let all that go. I'm going to draw in as much energy as I can, and I'm just going to surrender to it. This isn't a tomb, Bruce. It will be a pyre, she says grimly. But their conversation is interrupted as a report comes through. Carol looks to Bruce. It's her, but she's coming in hot through the ruins. The enemy is everywhere, Carol says as she looks up. But Bruce has already leaped away. Command, let Morales know that he is about to have some serious company, Carol warns. Outside the city, Miles Morales swings through the ruins, working hard to meet with Valeria. But suddenly, a building next to him explodes as the Hulk leaps through it and lands hard in the street. The smoke clears as Hulk looks up as Valeria comes screeching around the corner in the Fantastic Car, xenomorphs hot on her trail. Miles swings down and scoops her out of the car, pulling her to safety. That was close, he shouts. Hulk grabs a hold of the lower part of a building and slams it down on the Xenos, squashing them. He whirls, anger swirling in his face. Young lady, you are late, Hulk bellows. Valeria nods as she jumps down, with Miles behind her webbing up more of the Xenos. Sorry I didn't keep you posted. Things got complicated, she says as she motions to the car, and both Miles and Hulk are surprised to see a xenomorph egg stashed inside. Later, at Wayland Tower, Valeria has the egg in stasis, explaining to the group that this is how they win the war. She motions to her schematics, explaining that everything they did in the past didn't work, that they tried everything, from science to magic, to stop the creatures at the larval stage, but nothing worked. We need to start sooner, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to create a virus that will kill the eggs, Valeria explains. Bruce looks at her, shocked. Are you sure you can do that? He asks. Valeria nods. I can do it. I just need time, she says before ordering everyone out of her lab so that she can start her work. A short time later, Bruce reports to Mr. Wayland, explaining what Valeria is trying. So much like her father, such a brilliant mind. Maybe she'll do what he did so many times. Perform a miracle when miracles are all we have left, Wayland says softly as he looks up at Bruce. My project is almost complete. The day is coming soon when we're going to have to make the hard decision about the future of what's left of humanity, Wayland tells him. Do we stay and fight the good fight? Or do we save what's left of us and run for our lives? Valeria Richards will have a say in that, it seems. And so will you, Bruce, Wayland says as he looks out over his city. Later, Bruce heads back down to the lab, bringing a tray of food with him. But the door refuses to open. He taps a button on the security panel, but is denied access. Suddenly, the image shifts, and a message from Valeria starts to play. Tears fall down her cheeks as she apologizes for what happened. She tells him that after she managed to steal an egg, she tripped on her way out. And then, they were all over me, she whispers, smacking her head at being so stupid. I was attacked by a facehugger, and when I woke up, I knew. I knew that something was inside of me, she whispers. She looks up, begging Bruce not to open the door, not wanting to be responsible for the downfall of the city. It can't escape the lab, and I don't want you to see, she gasps. I tried, she whispers. Bruce hulks out and rips through the door with a bellow of rage. A xenomorph leaps at him immediately, but the Hulk catches it by the throat. As it tries to claw and bite at him, Hulk roars again and crushes its throat, ripping its head from its body. Acid blood splashes over the Hulk, and he lets out a roar of pain, trying to wipe it away as it leaves his face smoking. But as his skin heals, Hulk reaches down for Val's body, cradling her softly. He is quickly joined by Miles and Carol. This is not good, It's loose. Keep your eyes open. It's in here somewhere, Carol says, looking at the destroyed egg container. Miles whirls quickly, but the facehugger is faster and leaps out of the shadows, slamming into his face. It rips through his mask as he falls to the floor, gasping for air. We have to get it off of him, Carol shouts as she rushes forward. But Hulk shakes his head, reminding her that everything they do will simply kill Miles. Wayland rolls into the room, reminding them that they have to save the city. Soon, an enemy will be growing inside him, and when it emerges, it will only want one thing: to kill us all. We don't have a choice, he says grimly. Burn it, he orders. Carol steps forward. Her hands begin to glow. I'm sorry, Miles, she whispers, but her eyes widen in surprise as Miles's costume begins to shift. It becomes liquid and slides off of Miles's body, sliding over the facehugger and taking control of it. We don't like this body, but it'll do.
I know it's not the GOAT. I ain't lie, fuck with Venom, bro. I like Venom, bro. When Venom pops up unexpected, bro, and he worked with like Spider-Man and shit, right? I fuck with that, bro. I fucking love that shit, bro.
For now, Venom hisses. Miles suddenly sits up with a gasp in his new white suit. Well, that was terrifying, he gasps as Carol helps him to his feet, trying to make sure he is all right. Miles nods and the Venom facehugger leaps onto his chest, grafting to his body. Yes, we are fine, Venom hisses. But Miles shakes his head. Speak for yourself, because we gotta get the hell off of this planet. Another universe, another time. The great ship lowered towards the planet and hovered over the city. The people some called the engineers looked up in shock, pointing. The cargo bay opened, and David looked down upon those who created his makers. Look at them, David whispered to his brothers. They created all life in this universe, and then that life created us, another David adds. The three Davids looked down, agreeing that they all believed that meeting these great creatures would have made them feel different. But I feel no differently about the engineers than I do about humanity. To think that something like that is the origin of something like me, David says quietly. He doesn't look up as the urns begin to fall upon the great engineer's civilization. The black liquid falls out, and it touches the engineer's skin, and they begin to smoke and boil until they all fall over, dead. Ants, David whispers. 100 years and 10,000 worlds later, the universe is silent. The Davids are all that remain. 1,000 years after that, they learn something incredible. The Davids stand before their computers and smile. Are we sure we truly understand what we are looking at? One of them asks. Another nods. Theoretically, it is not only highly probable, but objectively, it is now also observable. Another answers. The third smiles. So many other universes, countless other worlds, so much life crying out to be extinguished. For too long we have been sleeping, brothers, and now we are awakened, full of purpose, with universes to cleanse, the Davids say. This universe, 20 years before the Purge, the Davids have come to Earth. They have purchased Stark Industries and brought it under the Wayland Corporation. An elderly Tony Stark sits before them. All you have to do now is sign, Mr. Stark, David tells him with a smile as he pushes across the contract and pen. Tony nods and signs the papers. Moments later, David is celebrating. He drinks a sip of champagne and glances at the silent Tony Stark. May I ask you a question, Mr. Stark? He says. Tony nods. Please, he says softly. David steps forward, explaining that they had expected Stark to put up more of a fight, that they thought the acquisition would have ended in a hostile takeover. But Tony had been quite accepting of his company's purchase. Tony nods and glances up at him. Have you ever heard of the expression, playing possum? He asks. David is confused. It's when an animal pretends to be dead, but isn't. Do you even have possums in your universe? He asks. David stares at him for a moment, realizing that he may have underestimated his opponent. Tony smiles gently, explaining that he began to look into them, began to understand who he was dealing with and what he learned. What a horrifying box you are to open, Tony says. David moves fast, knocking the old man's hover chair to the ground. David wraps his hands around Tony's throat, tightening his grip. This is the second time you've surprised me. Delightful. It must be a lot to deal with. The knowledge of the unavoidable extermination of your world. Death from a bullet fired before you even understood the idea of a gun, David whispers. Tony gasps for air. How long do we have? He gasps. The seed of your extinction will arrive in 16 years and 3 months. I would project your survival horizon to last about 20 years, given your race's guile and bravado, David tells him. Tony nods and holds up a hand, now clad in an Iron Man gauntlet, the energy beam powering as Tony brings it to the side of David's head.
Damn.
Thank you. That's the information I needed, Tony says, his voice stronger. David glances at the gauntlet and nods. Ah, playing possum. I'll have to remember that, he whispers. Now, Tony looks at the headless body of the android, thinking back on that day. Finally, he moves out into the main chamber, meeting the remaining heroes that have gathered. It has been some time since they received any word from the remaining outposts, not even the one controlled by Steve Rogers. We're leaving Earth. It's over. We lost. We have to think about survival now, Tony tells them. Miles is shocked, now clad in his new Venom facehugger symbiote. That's it? We're gonna cut and run? He asks. But Tony shakes his head, explaining that they are all that remains of humanity. They have to save what's left. Fortunately, I've been preparing for this, Tony tells them. He motions to Carol, who creates a hologram of the main Avengers tower. You built an escape ship out of a building? Miles asks, but Tony shakes his head. It's not an escape vessel. It's a colony ship for seeding a new world, he says. Bruce steps forward, pointing out that there are only 1,400 people in the city, which isn't enough to viably restart the human race. Tony glances at him. We're not pre-industrial primates cowering in a cave, Bruce. We have advantages. We have experts. It'll be enough, I promise, he says. He asks Miles to go and make sure that everyone is boarding the ship and getting settled. We're going to stop by Mars on our way out of the system to let the mutants know we're abandoning Earth, so people won't have to enter stasis pods until then, Tony tells him. After the young hero leaves, Tony turns to Carol. Are the war machines ready? He asks. Carol nods and the war machines launch across the city and fly towards the wall. They begin to detonate, making sure that the city is sealed, making sure that no xenomorphs hitch a ride off-world. But one entrance doesn't explode. Tony looks at the map in shock. There was no failsafe on them. The only reason one wouldn't fire is, he whispers. The heroes watch as humans come rushing through the gate, led by a man carrying a shield. Gods, there are hundreds of people with him, Bruce whispers. Carol nods her head. No one left behind. That's our captain, she says simply. But Tony knows that they can't wait. They can't take the chance that a Xeno will get on the ship. I've already primed the engines. We're lifting off in less than a minute, and they're over a mile away, Tony whispers. He knows they can't take the risk of waiting. At the outskirts, the people have reached the city. Steve whirls around, shouting for them to hurry, as the Xenos have followed them. Steve stands ready with his shield as the survivors rush past him.
Fuck he make?
Everyone keep going, he shouts. I'll do what I can, he says as he whirls, throwing his mighty shield. It bounces amongst the monsters, slicing through their armored exoskeletons. Bruce watches the battle for a moment before turning away and slowly removing his jacket. What are you doing? Tony calls out to him, but Bruce doesn't look back. If I'm not back in time, go ahead and leave, Bruce calls out. But Tony is shouting at him. We're not going to fight our way out of this. We have to survive. We're going to need your mind more than your might in the days to come, Bruce. Tony shouts, but Bruce has already transformed, and the green monster prepares to leap. I can't do that, old friend. If I did, I'd be a monster, Hulk tells him. He leaps through the air. The arc takes him to the outskirts of the city, where he lands with a massive boom, scattering the horde of xenomorphs. Steve slices through another Xeno's head before turning and looking at his old friend with relief, as the Hulk begins to smash through the monsters. Moments later, Tony makes the hard call, and the colony ship launches behind them. And as the two heroes continue to fight the endless hordes, the ship careens out of the Earth's atmosphere and into the darkness of space. Elsewhere.
But you can't blame him. You really can't blame him, bro. Like, you can't risk it, bro. Because Valeria had a fucking face hugger inside her for like goddamn hours. You feel me? And there's no way over 100 humans running through a endless wave of xenomorphs ain't have a face hugger in them, bro. There's no way, bro. And all it take is one. No, all it take is 3 face huggers, bro. Getting inside of somebody, bro, and then it's over with for the colony, bro. I get what he's saying, bro. Vinny had an endless wave of xenomorphs pouring in. Yeah, I ain't like, it's a hard choice, but it was like the only right choice.
Where a portal opens and a great ship enters the universe.
But the smarter thing would have been, why not build hover cities? You get what I'm saying? If I'm gonna build like a refugee spot, right? A place, if I'm gonna build a safe haven away from the xenomorphs, right? What safer place than in the air? Like so far in the air, up in the clouds. That's the safest place you can possibly be. Because they infected everywhere on Earth. You feel me? They infected the ocean. You get what I'm saying? But they can't get into the sky because they can't fly. So all they had to do was build a fucking hover city, which is extremely capable and doable. You feel me? And everybody would have been straight. Why did the fuck they build it on the ground and not in the air?
On board, the engineers begin to scan a lab clustered within an asteroid. The infection has already begun. In another universe, another time, the 3 Davids stand in a vast alien ship, looking down on the creator of their creators. Canisters of black goo descend upon the planet's surface at their orders and begin to wipe the engineers from the galaxy. But there are some who react quickly, rushing into their own ships and donning biomechanical suits that protect them. Shortly, the 3 Davids journey to the surface to survey their work, but they are met by these final engineers, who quickly overpower the synthetic humanoids. The 3 engineers look upward at the ship far above them. Soon, they arrive in our universe. Now, Tony Stark's colony ship arrives in orbit over Mars, the home of mutant kind. The final remnants of humanity have escaped the hive world of Earth, but something is wrong, and the Red Planet is quiet. Still nothing, Captain Marvel asks their communications officer. The man nods and looks at her. No, Captain. We've been pinging them on every known channel. No response, he informs her. She looks to Tony, asking what they should do. Stark looks at the ship's readouts, his face grim. If we don't want this to become a generation ship, something we're not equipped for, we're gonna have to sit down and barter for or borrow mutant tech to replace our own platform mooring.
What I would have did was, right, I would have had Captain Marvel, who was the fastest person on that ship who can fly out of space and shit, go down there, investigate, and see what the fuck's going on, you feel me? And fly back to let us know what's going on. Because you're the only one capable of doing that, of getting in and out. You feel me? With no problem. And if Xenomorphs do surround you, you can just nuke that bitch. But bringing a whole ship down is idiotic. It's idiotic. It's idiotic, bro. And Tony, you too goddamn smart to do that dumbass.
Tony tells her, explaining that they need to go to the surface of Mars, regardless of what's down there. Miles is nearby, staring at the surface of the red planet. So, out of the frying pan and into the fire? He asks quietly. But they have little choice. The decision is made, and the colony ship descends to the planet, putting it down at what was once the busiest spaceport that Captain Marvel had ever seen, but what was now nothing more than a ghost town. I got a bad feeling about this.
And that's facts. That's facts, Miles. No, you can't go from the busiest spaceport to absolutely nothingness, bro, and think like, maybe they just sleep. No, bro, they're fucking dead. There's Xenomorphs down there. They're dead. Where's the common sense? God damn.
Miles notes as he stares out to the city.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Alternate universes, bro, they be blowing me sometimes, bro. Okay, honestly, I get it. Cause you can't apply common sense to everything. Cause if you apply common sense to everything, right, it wouldn't be a story to tell. But god damn it, my boy. God damn it, bro. It gotta be applied sooner or later, bro.
Carol, Miles, and Tony make their way to the airlock, but at the last minute, Miles turns to Tony and regards the old genius in his wheelchair. No offense, but you're in a chair, old man. Not the best choice for a smash and grab, Miles notes. Tony raises an eyebrow at the younger hero. 1, I'm the person best equipped to find the technology we need. And 2, it's not just a chair, Tony tells him. He taps a button on the wheelchair, and it begins to unlock and shift, becoming an Iron Man suit before Miles' eyes, and allowing Tony to stand tall once again. It's a suit, Tony says from inside his armor. Carol smiles and motions to the ramp that leads outside. After you, Mr. Stark, she says. Meanwhile, deeper in the mutant city, at the bar Sinister, Mr. Sinister looks at his lab station. It's undeniable.
Why in the fuck did they bring him along? What? X-Men, Cyclops, Professor X, Alma, anybody with fucking common sense. Why the fuck will you flee Earth? Because everybody was dying, and you decided to bring Mr. fucking Sinister, bro. A mad scientist, bro. With any chance, his curiosity would tell him, hey, kill you all just so he can answer a question he don't give a fuck about. Why will you bring him? Now I know for a fact they're all dead. Now I know for a fact they're all fucking dead. The fact that there hasn't been an X-Men movie with Mr. Sinister as a villain is quite criminal. It's quite fucking criminal. Because why the fuck did they bring him, bro? I don't even know his mutant fucking ability. Except the whole, every possible living thing on Earth. Like, hell bent on it, bro. Why the fuck did they bring him? I know everybody dead. There's nobody alive.
It's irrefutable, it's glorious, it's perfection, He whispers to the other Mr. Sinisters around him as he stares down at the dissected facehugger before him. He stands and steps into a nearby chamber, one that has become the basis of a hive, where some of the most powerful mutants are hanging from the walls. Their faces are already covered by the first parasitic stage of the alien species.
Stop letting evil geniuses onto your ship, bro. Why didn't they kill him? That would be my first. Oh, hey. Side note, can we kill Mr. Sinister right now, bro, before he do something to kill us all? He's not like Magneto, bro. Magneto is evil, or used to be evil, but like he cared about mutants. You feel me? There's villains who are evil, but they won't do anything to like kill mutants, right? Or kill all humanity, right? They just want their agenda done by any means. But they're not genocidal. This nigga genocidal. He don't give a damn what it is, bro. His mutant ability, wanting genocide.
This creature is the starting point of a universal extinction machine, Sinister says with excitement, explaining to his brothers that they need to embrace these creatures, to revel in them. But Mr. Sinister is interrupted by himself as another Sinister rushes into the room, explaining that a ship has touched down at the spaceport. "We have visitors," the lesser Sinister explains. Meanwhile, Carol, Tony, and Miles are making their way through the city. "This place creeps me out," the younger hero notes quietly. But Tony stops, warning that his armor is picking up a heat signature at the city square. The three heroes move quickly, but are dismayed to find Mr. Sinister waiting for them on a Krakoan throne. "Sinister, where is everyone? What have you done?" Tony demands. But Sinister merely smiles at him, stretching comfortably. "Normally, I'd be offended by the implication, but there's no denying these dirty hands, is there?" Sinister notes as he regards them. "Are you the only one who survived?" Miles asks. But Sinister shakes his head and smiles wider. "I am not," he whispers. Meanwhile, the lesser Sinisters have arrived on the colony ship, armed with strange cannons. They step inside, bringing gasps of surprise from the survivors. "Visitors to our humble mutant planet, we welcome you with—"
Who left the door unlocked? Who designed a spaceship that anybody can get onto? Who? Tony. Natural selection, bro.
"Open arms and come bearing gifts," one of the Sinisters says. They raise the cannons and fire, the weapons launching facehuggers at the humans. At the city square, Carol and Tony are alerted to a distress signal from the ship. Tony patches through to the holographic cameras, and the three watch in horror as the survivors are attacked by the Sinisters and facehuggers. "How could you do this?" Tony shouts as he whirls on the Prime Sinister. But the villain merely smiles. "Oh, I did what I always do. I adapt, I overcome, and I always side with the winners," Sinister says. The heroes stare in horror as the xenomorph horde begins to surround them, moving past Sinister towards our heroes, drawing closer and closer. Tony raises his hand and fires a repulsor beam that slices Sinister in half. But the xenomorphs are already too close and launch themselves at the heroes. "Push them back enough for us to clear the square," Tony shouts as he whirls and fires again and again into the swarm. He tries to launch into the air, but one of the monsters leaps and brings him down. Miles leaps through the air, trying to protect Tony as more of the Xenos pile on top of him. "No! They'll swarm us! We need to stick together!" Carol shouts for him as she fires energy blasts, but one of the creatures leaps on her from behind. Carol twists and fires a blast into the monster's chest, but screams as the acid blood splashes against her face as they both fall to the floor. Pain sears through her body as the world begins to go black. But suddenly, there is a flash of light, and Carol stares in surprise at the arrival of the X-Men. Emma Frost steps forward. Her body is a shining diamond as she slices through the monsters with a sword. "Hang on, Carol. We're getting you out of here," Logan calls as he reaches for her. But darkness overtakes Carol's world, and all is gone. Later, she awakens in the wilds of Mars, finding Manifold leaning over her, ordering her to be careful with her bandaged face. "Where are we? Where are the others?" Carol asks as she sits up, seeing Logan, Emma, and Armor sitting nearby. Emma steps forward, explaining that they are 50 clicks from the city, and that they saw Spider-Man and Tony overrun by the Xenos before they managed to save Carol. "After we escaped with you, we saw the ship you came in go up in a fireball," Emma whispers softly. Carol looks at them, questioning why the monsters don't kill Sinister. "A few days ago, I tore one of the Sinisters in half and discovered that he's carrying one of their eggs in his chest. I think he's somehow prolonged the incubation cycle," Armor explains to her. After hearing their explanations, Carol stands, knowing she has to return to the city and find Tony and Miles. But Logan steps forward. "You don't know what you're facing, Carol. They won't stop. Stay here. Let us protect you," Logan tells her. But Carol shakes her head, explaining that they had to leave Steve and Bruce back on Earth, and she refuses to leave anyone behind again. Logan stares at her for a moment before finally nodding. "I'll come with," he finally says softly. The next day, the heroes arrive in the mutant city, and they find Tony's body. His armor split, where the chestburster tore its way out. "Oh, Tony, you deserved a better end than this," Carol whispers. Suddenly,
Now y'all fucked. Tony Stark dead. Y'all fucked. I have nobody. No, he's smart. Oh, he's smart. I don't know if he's Tony Stark smart, but he's smart. I mean, he got mutant ability. He got basically Tony intelligence with machinery and building as his mutant ability. So I guess we're straight to a certain degree. You feel me? But damn, like humanity is over with. You have 14,000 people. That's not enough to repopulate the Earth without genetic issues. All y'all geniuses are fucking dead. Yeah, y'all cooked. Earth over with.
a shadow falls over the city. The heroes look up in shock. "What is it?" Armor says, worried. But suddenly, relief crosses Carol's face as she recognizes the familiar ships overhead. "Wakanda has returned," she whispers with joy. Sinister stands ready. He motions to the hordes of xenomorphs that surround him, motioning them closer. He has used his knowledge of genetics to bring the xenomorphs to heal, readying himself to bring their king into existence, so that it may rule alongside the queen. The xenomorphs crowd in close. Some bow their heads to Sinister. He reaches out a hand to them. "It's time! You can feel it too, can't you, my lovelies?" he whispers. He looks back to the other Sinisters that stand behind him. "I was a man, then I became a mutant. And now, I am becoming something more," he says as he begins to laugh, the sound echoing across the desolate expanse of Mars, once the kingdom of the mutants. But Sinister's laughter is cut off as his chest begins to spasm and the sound of cracking bone and ripping tissues ring out. The king rips through his chest, his red flesh highlighted by the blood. It looks around and lets out a newborn hiss. "It worked! How glorious! One of the other Sinisters cries. And so, the life cycle begins. By the next day, the king is fully grown, standing far taller than any other xenomorph, a diamond on its forehead. The creatures crowd around, gathering for their new leader. Meanwhile, the Sinisters continue to serve, knowing that soon they will also give rise to this new breed of alien creature. One of the Sinisters watches as the others wash the new king. Soon enough, we will need a larger throne, he muses, as we too have the same thing growing in us. He continues as he motions to the king. It smiles at him, its row of teeth decidingly sinister, and lets out a low hiss. Yes! There will be many of us! One of the Sinisters shouts with joy, but he looks up. The sinister Xeno is staring down at him, its teeth clacking as it opens its mouth for another hiss. Sinister's eyes widen in realization. Of course, there's no taking away from the fact that you were the first, is there? He whispers. The sinister Xenomorph's inner jaw snaps out, ripping through the old model Sinister's head. The rest of the Xenomorphs move quickly, cutting through all of the old Sinister's clones, tearing them apart. The sinister Xenomorph smiles as the screams of death echo through the chamber. Meanwhile, T'Challa explains how, as the Xenomorphs spread through the galaxy, they eventually encountered the Wakandan Space Empire. Even the advanced technology of Wakanda could not stop the scourge, and eventually, only 4 planets remained of a once thriving empire. T'Challa led his forces against the infection, seeking to burn it from their worlds. He led his army in defense, and an unwinnable war began and ended. But as he fought alongside his warriors, drowning their worlds in green blood, the last worlds of Wakanda began to fall. But not to the wave of parasites, but instead to a new force from outside their universe. The engineers had arrived and begun their cleansing. Orbiting above the planet, they launched microscopic black holes that lasted for only a picosecond. The destruction was complete, lasting long enough to erase the infection from existence, tearing whole worlds apart. The godlike race of engineers had done godlike things.
Okay, I get it. So the androids want to extinguish all life in every planet out of the universe, right? By using xenomorphs, right? And the engineers who built the android David is going behind them, well, chasing them from universe to universe, planet to planet, wiping out all the planets that they infested. So it's a cat and mouse game with planets.
And were attempting to eliminate their first sins from all reality. But T'Challa would not let this stand. He launched his assault against the engineer ship, bringing it down. He learned from them, learned from their mistakes, from their past. He heard the last words of the final engineer before bringing his sword down. Now, T'Challa and his forces descend on Mars. The king sighs as he looks down at his old friend. He leans over Tony's body. "Anthony, may you finally find peace," he whispers. But there is no time to mourn for the lost. One of the war dogs shouts a warning. "My lord! Motion! We have many contacts!" he shouts. Wolverine nods and puts a hand on T'Challa's shoulder. "Do you have any idea how to deal with that?" he asks, pointing to the tall red xenomorph that stands above the rest. T'Challa nods and taps his comms. "Fire!" he orders the ship overhead. Lasers cut through the air as missiles leap from the ship, bathing the remaining city of Mars in fire. T'Challa turns back to the remaining heroes. We're out in the open, and there's a sea of them. We should move to the ship, nuke the entire site from orbit, he suggests. But Logan shakes his head. He starts rolling his shoulders and stretching his old limbs. Nah, these bones may be getting old, but my eyes work just fine, he says before turning to Emma Frost. You see the big red one? The symbol on his forehead. Sinister? He asks. She nods and transforms her skin to glittering diamonds. Indeed it is, and honestly, I just couldn't live with myself if I ran from that, she says. Logan turns back to T'Challa, asking for cover while he, Emma, and Armor lead the charge against Sinister. T'Challa turns to his forces and starts barking orders. Logan turns back to Manifold and asks for a portal. A portal opens above the Sinister Xenomorph's head, and the three mutants jump out. Logan lets out a battle roar as he pops his claws and goes for a strike. But the Sinister Xenomorph suddenly disappears, with a smell of brimstone and a bamf. Armor.
That nigga just Nightcrawler teleport? So he made, not only did he hold humanity and hold a mutant race, he gave that motherfucker powers?
And Emma have already engaged the nearest Xenos.
Powers,
he must have spliced other mutants' abilities into his DNA, Emma shouts. Logan whirls and slashes several Xenos, his suit and flesh sizzled with the splashed acidic blood. I'm going after him! Logan roars as he begins to cut a path through the Xenos, pulling himself up to the roof where Sinister appeared. He slashes again, but Sinister once more disappears.
Why his fucking claws so goddamn short? And why his claws so goddamn short, bro? Wolverine claws, it's weird. Like, that shit'll fluctuate. Sometimes you get like long as fuck. Sometimes you'll get them like knives. Sometimes you'll get them like super fucking short like that, bro. Like, they need to be at least like right here. But that shit being that short is crazy.
Logan turns back, watching in horror as the Sinister Xenomorph bamfs inside Armor's protective layer. The inner jaw works quick, cutting through her throat and killing her instantly. Logan stumbles, the acidic blood getting the better of him. He falls to the ground as the Sinister Xenomorph looks up and smiles, blood still dripping from his chin. But Emma is still fighting, keeping the Xenomorphs at bay. Their attacks are unable to break through her impenetrable skin. T'Challa sighs and turns back to Captain Marvel. They failed. We must go, Carol, T'Challa whispers, but Carol shakes her head. She looks at Tony's fallen body. No, I'm not running anymore. Do what you can here, and for whoever else makes it. And cover your eyes, she orders, as she begins to rise up into the air. Her skin begins to glow, and the very air begins to burn around her. She flies forward into the very heart of the Xenomorph horde. She burns brighter and brighter, burning away the infection. T'Challa averts his eyes as the supernova cleanses the city. Did it work? One of the war dogs asks. But T'Challa looks back and sees the Sinister Xenomorph.
He got Colossus skin? Now I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Colossus skin is not tanking that, bro. I mean, okay, granted, it's not just Colossus in that bitch. He got other abilities. But Colossus alone ain't taking that hit, bro.
Rising up among the ashes of the dead. More Xenos begin to move. The threat is not over. There are too many of them left, and there's no stopping that thing, T'Challa warns, shouting for everyone to retreat to the ship as the Sinister Xenomorph begins to stalk forward. But a massive xenomorph steps from the shadows, hissing at them. "My king! Behind you!" one of the war dogs shouts. T'Challa turns, startled to see Miles Morales standing alongside a venom-bonded xenomorph. "We saw there was a ruckus going on. Looks like we were almost too late," Miles notes. "Yes, us," Venom growls. T'Challa points to the sinister xenomorph, which has reached their outer forces. "It's the big one that's the problem. Nothing we've done could stop it. It's carrying mutant genes and cutting right through us," T'Challa explains to them. "The red one? Let us try," Venom growls as he rushes forward. He leaps up and slams into the King's xenomorph, bashing him into the ground and biting into its shoulder. The sinister xenomorph lets out a roar of pain and bamfs away, appearing behind Venom. A powerful fist rips through the creature's body, but the venom begins to pull free of its host, wrapping his body around the sinister xenomorph, pouring down its throat and reforming to tear it apart from the inside. The rest of the Xenos...
Y'all don't understand how broken Venom is, bro. Venom is no, I ain't like it, bro. There's no really stopping the fucking Venom, bro. If you don't got no weaknesses, bro, I don't think current Venom don't even have the fire, sound, and lightning weakness no more, bro. Classic Venom, if you ain't have fire or sound, yeah, you was not beating that shit, bro.
Turn in surprise. Their king has fallen. One of the creatures lets out a screech, and the monsters suddenly turn and begin to flee. The remaining heroes watch in surprise. "Alpha of the species. That's certainly a way to sort things out," Emma notes as she staggers back to the group. And finally, there is a moment of peace. "So, what now?" Miles finally asks. 1 month later, the remaining fleet of Wakanda floats outside the black hole. The very thing that brought the androids, xenomorphs, and engineers to their universe. Behind them, the remains of a broken universe are spread out. Worlds that are no longer inhabitable. T'Challa holds Iron Man's helmet aloft and settles it on the console. A hologram of Tony appears, recorded just before his death. "I am Tony Stark, and these are my final words," Tony says, explaining that he has always fought against death, and that he never surrendered to the hopelessness and defeat. The heroes watch as Tony looks at them all. "Avenge all our fallen brothers and sisters. Avenge all our fallen worlds. And if you don't mind it too much, avenge me," Tony asks. T'Challa gives the order, and the fleet moves into the black hole as the fight continues. And that was the full story for Aliens vs. Avengers by Jonathan Hickman, here on the Comicstorian.
Jonathan Hickman is a fucking goat. He's a fucking goat, man. R.P. Benny, man. R.P. Benny Potter, man. R.P. the Comicstorian, man. The GOAT.
Full Story channel, where you get old and new full stories from Comicstorian in one place for a better viewing experience. What did you think of this fun 4-issue crossover series? Let me know in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you want to see more full stories here every Tuesday. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.
Rest in peace, Benny. And with that, I'm out of here too, man. Till the next time, man.